Hey, everybody. Welcome to Boss Rush right here Friday afternoon. Woo, yay! We did it. We all managed to get back together after all kinds of crazy shenanigans going on. My name is Chris Melosinos. I'm the principal evangelist for the video games industry here at AWS, and I'm joined with my co-hosts and colleagues.
Dean Takahashi, editorial director for GamesBeat. Hello.
Hello, and
Hello. Susan Cummings, founder of 10-6 Games in the UK.
And
Hey, I'm Mark Delora. I'm a ed tech games consultant, longtime game industry tech guy.
excellent. And we are back after being off last week and ready to jump into a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to let you all take it over. I'll go ahead and check levels, make sure everything is sounding crisp on the outside there. So jump on in, gang.
What are the biggest news you guys have heard this week?
Well, not this week,
Well,
but the last 2 weeks since we've been together.
Oh yeah.
I just got back from Develop in Brighton.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Nice.
It was good. Well, it was hot as hell. It was like 100 degrees in Brighton. It was so weird. You'd swear you were anywhere but Brighton. it was absolutely stunning. So the weather was great. It was really crowded. There were loads and loads of people there, which is really cool. I thought there was a really good, energy about the thing. I enjoyed it way more than I did last year, but I think I was in a much better mood this year and like doing new stuff as opposed to like on the tail end of old stuff. So maybe it was me and like my vibe going into it, but yeah, so I thought it was really good. I'd say the biggest thing I noticed is that everyone seems to be a fractional something right now. COO, CFO, CEO, there's a lot of that. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I think it's awesome. I think like everyone's realizing like it's like how it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to make a game. It turns out.
Also, finding gainful full-time employment is difficult right now.
Yes. I chose to be a consultant.
Yes.
So that was cool. And then obviously there was, a lot of consternation about Microsoft and the 9,000 jobs that were lost. So
Yeah.
on top of that.
I think I heard somebody's educated guess that it could have been around 4,000 game jobs out of that 9,100 that they laid off. So
I haven't seen any. I haven't been paying a lot of attention, but I haven't seen any thorough news analyses of that, unless you've done one and I just missed it.
a little bit, at least on the different things that got hit, and I guess some of the question is like, why did they have to do it again? Third time this year. There was some speculation around whether Game Pass was working out or not, and Microsoft sources came back and said, no, Game Pass is profitable. It's even profitable when you consider the lost opportunities of sales for first party. And so whatever maybe was the driving cause of it, I guess, a lot of people probably could point fingers at AI. But 3 times this year they've had layoffs, and it felt like they should have been past this point when it comes to things like absorbing Activision Blizzard. So in this case, they made some harder decisions too. I think they closed the initiative in Santa Monica, brand new studio they had started up with a lot of people that were making the Perfect Dark game. So that game is canceled. I think they laid off maybe half the staff at Turn 10 Studios, which is the Forza Motorsport studio. They canceled Everwild, which is one of the projects that's been in the works at Rare for a very long time. And different studios had sort of impacts as well. A third party, or I guess a Microsoft funded studio, Romero Games, also had to sort of immediately lay off a bunch of their staff. And they were told, like, the night that this happened, that their project was canceled, and so they didn't say who the project was. They were under a contractual obligation there, but it was no surprise that Microsoft was doing this all on the same day. So people figured out that they had a Microsoft funded game at Romero Games, which was its own independent studio out in Ireland. So lots of a lot of that detail surfaced, I think.
Yeah, it's just a mess. Look, without any of us being on the inside there, right? We only have parts of the story that are coming out. But yeah, it's there's been a lot of commentary in terms of how it was handled and those things. So obviously, again, I can't state what the intention was there and all that stuff. But I do think, Dean, one of the interesting things that came out was when you were talking about Game Pass and then saying it being profitable. There was another report saying that it was, hey Bowser, that if they didn't count the cost of the development of the games in their studios that were then making it out there. So they've kind of extracted those two. So the question then, is it profitable when you include the cost of development? Right, for their own studios, right? Again, something that's not within my purview and well beyond my pay grade, but...
How much of this? What I'm wondering, there were a couple of things. There was the blah 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 route. Maybe this is AI, but it seems like a lot of the layoffs were middle tier people, not lower tier people. Middle tier people are going to be harder to replace with AI, so I'm a little hesitant to believe that's the cause. But most of the big tech companies have been going through round after round of layoffs.
Yeah.
Not just Microsoft. So I'm a little hesitant to blame it on the game market conditions, or at least everything's complicated, and I'm sure it was lots of different factors that led to this. But
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck is going on with all the big tech companies just laying people off over and over and over and over. That's a puzzle. I mean, the economy's not super great, but
it's also not in the doldrums either,
Yeah.
So, don't know. So that is all I will say about that. And
I also saw that Cult of the North shut down, which was sad. I thought there was a lot of they were doing a multiplayer game in Sweden and announced last week that they were shutting down. Yeah, they were EC backed. I think like A16Z and a few others funded them, and I think they couldn't raise any more money. It sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just triggered a thought for me. I wonder what happens, at the rate of investment that was going on, right, for smaller companies within some of these larger funds. I wonder what kind of the exit rate is going to be around those, right?
Very, very bad.
We did get we got some data for the second quarter come in from a couple of different reports from like Drake Star Partners and Areem as well, and they had data on just how well the second quarter did in a financial sense, and so some the stocks for game companies were way up in the second quarter. They like Roblox gained 80% in value during the quarter. And that helped with the M&A activity, and the M&A activity was also up 28% from just the previous quarter. But the investments that went into game companies continued to go down for something like 6-7 quarters, according to Drake Star. And so the recovery is sort of happening in a way, but it is affected by the large macroeconomic effects, like what's going on with tariffs, as an example, right? Yeah. And so that could very well, dampen the enthusiasm in the stock market again. And if it does so, then those stock prices for game companies also go down. So there's not much happening that's within the game industry's control. But if the theory, happens to be like, if the public companies are more valuable, if that happens, then more companies can go do IPOs, and so maybe something like Discord might go out for an IPO. When that happens, or when M&A happens, companies get acquired, then wealth gets transferred, wealth gets created for those who are exiting, and they in turn around and become more limited partners for the game venture capitalists, and those folks get money again, and they can start investing. So I do think a number of those game venture capitalists have run out of money, and they're looking for more money to invest now. And I think if they're successful with that, that's when we start to see game investments pick up. So long as those people are optimistic, right? So anyway, that's the ecosystem, or the food chain, I guess, that we have right now.
Yeah, and I believe you were referring to this story that you had posted here, right? The Global Gamer Report Q2 for 2025. So if anybody that's listening in wants to go ahead and check out all the detail about this, make sure you head on over to GamesBeat, and which is now gamesbeat.com. It's no more venturebeat.com/games. We're like, where's it all? No, we are now. Exactly. Yay for Dean and the team, right? So we are now wholly there, which means I had to go ahead and change my my settings in OBS to make sure it pulled up the GamesBeat site now, which is great. So yeah, definitely go over and check it out. There's a lot of great information in the reporting here, as always.
Yay.
As always.
Thank you.
Susan, I know that you have limited time with us today because you're going to do what this evening?
See Superman.
Oh, yeah. Really high hopes for that.
Lee is so excited. He's been listening to the music all afternoon.
Oh, nice.
The question is Lee wearing the tights? That's what everybody wants to know.
I should tell him that I'm only going if he wears the tights.
Of course. Yeah.
That seems fair.
Exactly. And one of the
it's an
Cisco
exciting
era...
superhero month between that and Fantastic Four in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So long as he wears that tight outfit with the Cisco era cod piece, like that would be great. No,
where's our Superman game? Do we have a Superman game?
Oh, there is the worst Superman game ever made.
One got killed, didn't it? Wasn't that what Monolith was doing?
No. Mark already knows what the worst Superman game is.
Oh, come on.
Superman 64 by Titus.
No more.
Oh my God.
We can make one that's worse. Then we can talk about that one instead.
Horrible.
Let's make a Pico 8 Superman game that's terrible, and then we can just
No. Pico 8 games are amazing. So don't you dare disparage the name of Pico 8 on this program. How dare you, sir? Anyway, Susan, I know we have you for limited time, so share with us kind of how was it, at the conference? What news is kind of popped up for you? What are some of the things that you would like to discuss today?
I thought it was good. I'm involved in two different angel investment groups over here in the UK. There's a lot more of that going on over here than there is in America, which is, I've only just recently found this out. Like, there's a lot of angel investing happening over here, very little in the States. Like, there's a couple little groups, but it's something I've been trying to, inspire and encourage more of. Over here, there's kind of this like rallying of, there's this moral imperative that we invest back in our industry. There are a lot of people who've been fortunate enough to exit companies, and in the internet world, that means angel investing. In the games world, not so much. Maybe we know that we're not investing in the safest things by making games, but so I participated in a bunch of angel investment little soirees during the event. So that was really cool. I think there's a lot of maybe hardship kind of makes everyone realize they have to band together, but not unlike GDC, there was very much a vibe of like, how do we all help each other, which was really nice. Yeah. So nice. Really that, yeah. I'm missing Gamescom, unfortunately. I'm going to be on vacation, sadly. But I think I'm going to go to DICE in Edinburgh. It was only vaguely on my radar it was happening. But any of you guys going to that?
No.
When is it? Unclear.
It's in September.
Oh. I am not able to go. I have Tokyo Game Show that month, and so getting to that again. But I don't think they ever have had press there at the Dice Europe events, but
Actually, they're not okay. I've never gone to Dice Europe, but I was excited that there's something happening that I can scratch the itch with since I miss Gamescom.
Yeah, not able to make it over there for there's just too much other travel going on and all kinds of craziness going. You know, like kids going back to college and all that stuff that kind of lands right in there. Susan, we did have
my kid is interning with us at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah, he just finished his GCSEs and he's going to be studying
just so
computers.
he doesn't flex that. Oh well, my parents own the company, so
Yeah, no, we made it very
my
clear that
coffee.
everyone's allowed to shout at him, and he's not getting paid.
Oh, not getting paid.
We've upped his allowance.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Can I get paid for a ticket?"
No dinner until you finish level 3.
Exactly. Yeah, but all you need is a game controller, right? Oh, I'm just tightening up the graphics on level 3, and then I'll be right there to work on the rest of it. Terrible
Hey,
ads.
Susan.
one of
When I
mine.
was visiting Other Ocean when I was seeing Mike Micah at GDC, they have like a program there where they have where they let the interns of like the kids of the team, and I'm like, what a cool idea! And I was kind of envious because we don't have a studio, we're remote, but we tried it out for the last couple of weeks. He's been helpful, and so yeah, it's cool. I want to do more of that.
That's awesome.
My youngest just graduated as well.
Oh,
Awesome.
College.
That. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well, since we're on family stuff here, I should say my eldest just got engaged.
Wow.
Yes, right. So,
You feel old now, Chris?
What's that?
You feel old now?
Look at this. Look at this silver dome, Susan. I'm not feeling old. I'm feeling experienced, invigorated.
Grandpa.
Okay. All right.
Grandpa.
Let's slow down one step at a time. One step at a time. Yeah, I was actually referred to that at the Games for Change conference before anybody knew anything about that. And I went, don't let that gray hair fool you, right? I will still kick your ass in some Robotron. But, okay. So there were a couple things that popped in here. Mihai, I believe it's how I pronounce this person's name. Thank you for jumping in. They said, hey, I'm a game dev recruiter, and I'm noticing big companies from the U.S. settling in the EU more, mainly Barcelona. Blizzard, Activision, Ubisoft's closing the studio. Susan, do you see a move from the USA market to the EU starting to happen? Are you seeing an acceleration of that?
Yes, 100%. I feel like I'm becoming the de facto go-to for people who want to move over here. I've had various friends in the industry to ask me for immigration lawyers and accountants and just general advice on moving over here. Yes, there's a lot of it happening.
Okay, so all I want to know is, did they give you just a giant cartoon bag with a $sign on it? Like Susan apparently is the entry point to all that money.
I said I should have done a talk at GDC about the expat move right now. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on right now.
Oh, very cool.
Which is sad because you don't want it to be for that sort of reason. But yes.
Awesome. And then Joel Forsell says, oh, Dean, you're coming to TGS. Cool. We'll be there as well. And then Amar also, cheers to GameSpeak becoming its own portal and not under VentureBeat. Yes, congratulations, Dean and the team over there. I also wanted to mention before Susan's going to get out of here, I wanted to thank her as well. Because Susan participated with me in this webinar that we did. And look at the lineup of people that participated in this. It was pretty amazing about leveraging AI tools for cloud game development. So Susan was a co-moderator for me and handled all those questions coming in and helping to moderate the chat and everything for me. So thank you.
I tried. I hope I was a little bit helpful.
You were fantastic. But, getting... people in there from like Neil Young, right, and Stephen the Mad Peacock there, along with Eric and Sime, was just awesome. Andre, of course, amazing, brilliant colleague and friend over here at AWS. So I really appreciated your help in helping us navigate that. So
my pleasure.
Susan. You were
nice. And I thought one of the really interesting things that Neil talked about and that he and I dug into a little bit is about how the trend towards smaller teams, especially like leaning into AI tools and stuff, And Chris asked, well, it's already a very crowded market. Do we really need more games? But the really interesting point is when games can be made less expensively, faster turnaround times, you don't need to sell as many copies to be profitable. So, the days of
Right.
needing to sell 50 million copies to continue consider a success are gone if it costs you $500,000 to make something. And so I think it'll be really interesting because I think we'll see more and more indie stuff serving like niche audiences, which is cool. It's a win for everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me throw in a little bit of controversy for you then, because there was a company that popped up on LinkedIn that was like, oh, we have this entire AI pipeline now that will automate games. We were able to make 200 games in a week, and I'm like,
Oh God.
that.
sure
First
they're
of
all
all,
amazing.
games is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that statement. That's number one. Right?
I'm with you.
Right. And then I was like, oh my goodness. Trying to play some of these games, collision, horrible. Graphics,
sure.
horrible. Pacing, horrible. Right. So, yes, use these tools to best effect to help you get your content out there and build your games and stuff like that. But it's not a replacement for artistry, for designers, for people that actually are building games. Right. So, tools,
1000%.
use them as tools. That's what they are.
Yeah, we had some interesting AI stories we can get to later on.
Yes,
But,
yes.
yeah.
What else you got, Susan?
I would be remiss not to mention, as Mark Delora just pointed out in text, some of the stuff that's going on in the UK right now, which I've foolishly forgotten to mention. There's been a bunch of announcements over the last week
All right.
about all the really cool stuff that, Nick Button Brown, my dear friend, is responsible for quite a lot of this. Nick has really been working. If you don't know Nick, he's ex-Electronic Arts and Crytek, and is just like a legend in our industry over here. And so
just
he
got
is
appointed to that UK Game Council too, right?
he set this whole thing up. He was probably the most pivotal person doing it. And essentially, they've set up a council that's going to meet directly with the government at least a couple times a year to influence policy, influence like funding initiatives, and all sorts of things that can be done to grow the industry, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And as part of that, they've also earmarked another £30 million for funding from UK Games Fund, which is lots of grants, essentially £150,000 grants, prototype funding, and so there's a lot of the more money for the London Game Festival, I think, was also part of it. So there was a whole series of announcements, but not to give everyone yet another reason to want to come over here where I am and join me in the UK. It's they continue. There's more to be done, but they're continuing to do lots of great things to improve the industry up here and help developers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. All righty. Well, let's go around the horn here. Mr. Delora.
Yes, sir. Did you hear about Krafton and the Subnautica 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's give that
Oh,
a little
tell.
talk.
Well, let's see. Last week, I guess they announced that they were changing the CEO and the co-founders, and they were leaving the company, and they had appointed Krafton owns the company. They had paid up to $500 million for Subnautica, and the company was it Unknown Worlds, right? And so,
Right. Yeah.
so they, I think the original had 12 million players, right? So it was pretty amazing game for their undersea adventure game,
Yeah.
and so that made everybody wonder, like, what's happening there. Steve Putzis, I can't pronounce his name, and sorry. He came in as CEO. He's a former Striking Distance CEO, and I guess what happened was that the speculation became that they paid $250 million upfront for the company, and they were going to have to pay another $250 million to the three leaders there if the game shipped in 2025. But then
was it 2025 or 2026?
everybody said, oh, you canceled that launch just so you didn't have to pay them the $250 million, right? And then Krafton put out an extraordinary note blasting, the three executives who left, saying that they were not working on the game, and that they had to announce a delay for the game until 2026 because it was nowhere near where it should have been. And they said
Wow.
one of the founders, they said, was working on an art film instead of working on the game, and they had pleaded with them to come back and get more involved in the game and the game direction. And so so they allege that. But now Charlie, one of the co-founders, Charlie Cleveland, said that they filed a lawsuit now against Crafton, and that there's a lot more to this story, and stay tuned for more details on it. So it's very disastrous on a number of levels there, and I think different parties are really coming out into the open and swinging at each other here.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see this kind of stuff make it right. I mean, as the public, we're not going to really know everything that's going on. So now we've got the arguments happening, around an incredibly talented team too that was always very open about their development process. The games, original Subnautica, was amazing. One of the things that Mark and I've actually talked about before is how wonderful it was. They opened up their Trello boards to the public, so people could weigh in on bug fixes, and they were always really transparent. Wow. Yeah, Susan, that's actually, it's I'm going to crib how they set up their Trello for my own projects, because it was really amazing the way they did it. So it is it's unfortunate to see this kind of playing out.
Well, I'd love to know what's going on behind the scenes there. That's there's the drama going on Build a Rocket Boy. I don't know if you guys talked about that the other week, but that's pretty bad too.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I recall was that they had notified 300 people that their jobs were at risk.
How big is the studio, Dean? Do you know? Is that the whole studio?
No, I don't know how big it is. They did have definitely more than one project in the works, and Lion's Eye, everybody knows, did not do very well when it launched. It had a lot of bugs, and they launched it too early for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm monitoring chat and audio. You all keep talking. Go. There was one other interesting AI story that I would point people to, which was about artificial agency and launching something they called a behavior engine. And they've been working with a team of veterans from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. And they have a very experienced AI team that came from a couple of leaders from DeepMind. And they skipped out on much of the early hype around AI, and sort of powered through for a longer time to focus on behavior for characters in games, and so they launched I guess in alpha now, and they have tools for game developers that can help them create games where the AI is in control of different parts of the game. So they have a game director sort of persona or role that is automated with AI. And you talked, say as a game developer, or game player, you can talk to the AI and say, I want you to create this situation in the game. There's an office demo that they did of workers at an office, and they said, all right, make everybody hungry, and then do something about it. And then donuts appear in the game, unscripted. Because the game director AI decides, okay, well, we're going to deal with the hunger in the room by providing donuts with people, and then you can tell the AI, and make the donuts poison, and then everybody starts getting sick and all that, and then the fire department shows up, and the game developer didn't say put the fire department in there. It's the
game director AI using what it knows to go out and say, okay, now that this has happened, we need the paramedics to arrive, right? And it makes that happen in the game and generates all of the necessary animations using generative AI in order to make it happen. So that, in theory, that sounds really cool and different from what a lot of other companies say they're doing with AI and AI game tools. And so it was something I had never heard of before, where you're essentially creating a game director that's something like the director of the Hunger Games, right? Somebody who's putting all the obstacles in the way of the people who are playing the Hunger Games, right? Or it's also like, say, the guy in the van inside a Mission Impossible movie, right? It's like the person who's saying, "Oh, look, looking at all the data feeds and everything like that," and then feeding that information over to the team in the field, things like that. So it's interesting approach.
I like any effort that I'm seeing to like do things that weren't possible before. That's totally been what's motivating us. Is not how do we get rid of artists, how do we do all the shitty things, but what's possible that wasn't possible before. What can we do when you can do things really, really quickly? What does that enable?
Yeah, and pivot, right? If it's not working, then pivot and be able to get out there faster. I mean, some of the comments that were coming up here in the chat were, from Joel here, Forcell, who said, the big conversation currently seems that AA is the next big surge, veterans leaving AAA. And I said, yeah.
I don't think AA is next. I think A is the surge. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I think it's that higher, the bigger indie to the smaller A's. And then it's, and that's that 8, 10, 15-hour game that kind of comes back in to fill that valley, right? That the gravity of AAA and indies in quantity and then revenue kind of, pulled the mids out there. And then, of course, Rick Neal. Hey, Rick, who dropped in and said, what was it? It was, we need to get back to, doing what we used to do, which is to make games without needing that investment. Figure out how to do without the funding.
100%.
Yeah.
I saw the question about whether the VCs are coming back. I don't think they're coming back. And you know what? We got along fine without them for years.
Yeah, or maybe not at the level they had been, right?
Yeah. I think that, they are out raising now. So we'll see what result comes back from that.
I think most of that's going to be for tech, don't you, Dean? No VC I know, with the exception of Ed Freeze. No other VC I know wants to make bets on content.
Yeah, I think V Games is in Europe is doing more.
Mobile stuff anyway. Yeah.
There are different parties that are fond of funding games. I think 1AM Gaming is another one now, so they're getting more active. Dan Bunting from Call of Duty went over to work for them.
That's cool. So, Gregory is a good guy. Yeah.
We'll see. I don't think they're going to die off. Right. I do think that the investment level will continue, perhaps not as at the sort of crazy levels that it was at before. So something like Build a Rocket Boy, you can probably expect that those kinds of companies are not likely to get built with VC money in the future. I think. Yeah,
definitely. I got to split.
I know you got to split. Well, we'd love to have you.
I got to go fly like Superman.
That's right. We expect a full report.
Definitely.
So yes,
thank you guys.
Let us know how that goes. Thank you, Susan. Say hi to Lee and everybody over there, and we will see you next week.
I'll get a picture of the tights for you.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Just make sure that it's PG so we can post it to everybody, right? So.
Bye, guys.
Right. See you, Susan. Bye-bye.
All right.
The topic of a game director. I was just going down a rabbit hole here because this is not a new idea. It's a new idea in that it's being driven by AI. But I'm remembering vaguely some talks at GDC, and I thought it was in Dungeon Siege. It doesn't appear to be the case, of having a dedicated block of the AI at that point in time that managed the difficulty of the game. It was a little bit of a dynamic difficulty focused game director.
Mhm.
But try to search for something called a game director right now in the game industry, and you're going to have a really fun time. Like game
Yeah.
director AI is going to get you 8,000 billion hits. So I'm having a hard time finding this. But I remember we talked about it quite a bit for years and years and years. It was probably 10 or 12 years ago.
Mhm.
Was it Hitman Go? Was it Rainbow Six Siege? I've totally forgotten. But yeah, so this is, I love this riff on it that director is now the AI, the generative AI, and it has the ability to make calls out and generate assets
Mhm.
and put them in the world and make design decisions. And it
Yeah,
sounds like a
sure.
really interesting set of
For
constraints
more
to deal with.
dynamic gameplay, right? In
Yeah.
the name of doing something that doesn't happen in a lot of games today, right?
Yep. This feels like it's probably just the beginning. This seems like the kind of thing that will 5 or 10 years from now will be in every game if we
Mhm.
figure out how to do it right.
What, an AI-based director?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even in every Call of Duty mission that you do, like it's like the CIA analyst gives you the briefing, right, and gives you the download, and here's what's going to happen in the mission, right, and but they never show up again, right? You just go out and execute the mission, right,
Yeah.
and then after that there's a cutscene. But in this case, the game director seems to have to constantly change things and react, I guess, and
Yeah.
that part could lead to very different kinds of missions than you've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess this is just, we're kind of describing a set of techniques and technologies that we've evolved in the game industry over the last 15 or 20 years, and now we're adding LLMs and asset generation to that tool set. So there's been dynamic difficulty adjustment and that kind of thing for a long time, which is a similar idea. Yeah, it's interesting.
Remember, some people were talking about hooking you up to a heartbeat monitor for a horror game too, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Or even Bio-Tetris back in the day. It was the same
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, actually, no. They need to go back and remake that Dead Space ad that had just the moms playing it. Do you remember this ad where they they walked these mothers right into the rooms, and apparently they were like really the moms of like the dev team and like other people, and they sat them in front of Dead Space, but you couldn't see the TV, so the camera view was the TV at them, and all you saw was their reaction. Oh my god! Like, dropping the controller and holding their eyes and screaming and stuff. Yeah, let's look up some biometrics and see what's going on there.
Why does that remind me of all those photos of dogs trying to bite at peanuts that people throw at them? Sorry, I don't know if you've seen it. There's like an artist that just takes like rapid pictures of dogs. Like if you throw a treat at them, and the dog is like,
yeah, I just saw that. They freeze frame right as the dog's about to bite the treat. And their faces are contorted. Well, we used to do that back in the days of VCRs, right? Which was go and hit pause like on a scene to try to get actors to be in some stupid, crazy pose, right?
Yep.
And like, if only there was a way to share that so people could see it.
Now it's like, of course.
Amir Satvat, yay, Amir, who joined the chat there, said, I wanted to double down on Susan's smart point. I think geographic rotation of where roles are will take people by more surprise, perhaps even than AI. When you have a 4x plus gap in cost, this is caused and will cause a huge shift, especially when the layoffs 75% North America and open roles 25% North America are inverted, right? So, I think that for anybody then looking to develop, making sure that you have the ability to tap into teams that may not be in your country, looking at how you can leverage, cloud-based services, development pipelines and stuff like that, so you can keep everything orchestrated, you can keep everything secure, bring onboard teams, and basically, phase out different for hires as you need to. Are going to be important. I mean, it's the makeup of our development environment is just going to look very different going forward.
Yeah, as if it isn't complicated enough for like an A or a AA team to, now Do you remember when we used to just make games and then we had like publishers who would do the marketing and the advertising and
Yeah.
all the good stuff? And now we get to do that ourselves, which is great. We're in control, but oh my god! And now it's like, okay, now you got to do your outsourcing too.
Yeah. And make sure that in those remote environments, oh my God, somebody didn't commit an old version or an old build back to this. People are working on the same version.
Yeah.
Somebody went ahead and updated, shaders in this, but everyone else built against it without it. And
it's just a new thing. It's exciting and at the same time daunting. Like I worry it makes the floor. It raises the floor for people trying to break into the industry of the things that you need to know and be good at, and in order to make a good game.
Well, I mean, look, one of the things
I have to believe that maybe
I was saying just real quick, just to close that up. One of the things that in my role, right, is I get to play developer advocacy role. So my role in the work I do every day is to also come in and communicate internally what developers want and what they don't want. And so if I see things being built that developers don't want, right, I get to, part of my job is to be vocal about that, right? And for me, it is about getting a lot of that infrastructure and those pieces out of the way so developers can then just focus on building the game and not have to become an expert in all of these different esoteric cloud pieces underneath and managing all those things more broadly, right? And so for me, I'm super passionate about that because I just want artists to make more art and I want people to be able to play around with that art, or as they say, play the games they like with the people they love. Like that's the way I take that role. So we are working on things like that to make it easier, just so you can focus on building the game and not have to deal with the complexities of modern distributed game development, right? More to come. But anyway, yes, Dean.
I just wanted to probably repeat what we've said before, which is the ground floor for younger people trying to break into games is more like those external development companies, but also UGC with things like Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft, right? So, different ground floor than there used to be.
Yeah, it's so funny, Dean. You just popped this thought in my head. I remember recently somebody was like, "Oh, how do I get my kid to stop playing Roblox?" And I'm like, they're not playing Roblox. They're playing 1,000 different games inside of Roblox. Like it reminds me of, in the early 80s, it's, my kid plays the Atari. And you're like, well, which Atari? The Atari, the Intellivision Atari, a Coleco, and they have these tapes. It's the same type of thing. How do I get them to stop playing this? Those games are, those environments, they're not games, right? They are platforms now. Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite. And so part of that continued education is it's not a single game, and understanding that from a developer perspective that you're not competing against, against Roblox or Fortnite. You're competing against the experiences that happen to be within them. They just happen to be kind of, as Matthew Ball states, right? Those black hole type of environments, right?
I have something to show you guys here.
Yes.
See, this is the... Oops, here we go. Mod Retro's Chromatic handheld gaming system that is pixel perfect to the screen of the old Game Boy Color.
Color,
so
nice.
This is Palmer Luckey's company, and it's Mod Retro was the name of the forums that Palmer created when he was 12 years old and was getting into electronics, and it was the place where he learned about VR, but also one of the things he obsessed about and has always sort of for more than at least a decade plus been interested in is creating something like this that had a screen that basically allowed for the creation of new Game Boy Color games. Right? So this thing it's got Tetris on it. It's got cartridges, right? And you plug them in to the back. It's just like an old Nintendo thing. It's got it's made for modders too.
Oh, and it is so chunky.
Screws in it. You can take it apart with screws. It's got batteries that you can change. It's also got a USB connector to update the system with the FPGAs in it. So I talked to them and been playing with it a bit. Again, Tetris on here. They have this old S11 game, right? and every game comes with these little charms that you can put onto the
cute.
sort of the side. Here's
Nice.
a little Tetris block, right? So fun stuff for anybody who's interested in retro. I don't know if that's Chris Melasinos or
I
other
don't
people,
know.
but
Yeah, yeah.
That's an
But
idea.
also, I was going to say, so I also have this little one here, right? This is
Oh my
the
God.
Ambernick one, but I don't have Tetris on there. I've got, I'm remaking the very first video game I made when I was a little kid. And so I'm making Space Debris in
Awesome.
Pico 8. So this is
Nice.
what I carry with me. But yeah, if you want to also go ahead and do Game Boy and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's what I do love
this is not.
Yeah.
This looks good, right? But this
Yeah.
is not, say, better than your Tetris on your smartphone, right?
Except for the
You
controls.
can get a bigger, better screen than
Happy
this,
button.
but this would allow for the sort of remarketing or recreation of these cartridge based games
Yeah.
that people did from the old days. And so, like, here's one from the good old days called Dragonim, and I like this one little sci-fi game S11. And people who want to own physical stuff, like, they're gonna go crazy about things like this. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So
And we're seeing a resurgence in that, right? So SNK just announced a handheld, Neo Geo that also you can buy cartridges for it. You've got the oh my goodness, there's a company that does this, Evercade, and they sell physical cartridges, right? So it's so weird to see that in an era where everything just kind of went digital download, there's all these things coming back out of, oh no, you can actually own this thing, because turns out people like things, right, to hold in their hands too. So I do love that, and the fact that they do have the pixel density, or at least the resolution on that, you can scale it 1-to-1 without having to stretch pixels and stuff like that. That's great, right? Because
yeah,
it brings back all
that was the whole point of doing the screen this way. It's also actually backlit, which is not the case for the
nice.
original Game Boy Color.
Yeah, but that's where you got to get your soldering skills up and install an afterburner in your GBA that drains the batteries 3 times faster. But you've got some wonky ass,
Well, if you plug in the USB-C cord into this thing, it'll bypass the battery, and so
Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. Well, listen, I wanted to make sure we hit this other story, since we talked about it before about people, leaving studios and stuff like that. There was this one, Neil Druckmann. Pulled back from Last of Us show, right, to focus on those Naughty Dog games. What did you all think of the Last of Us, TV show?
Fantastic show. I mean, it was awesome. I think the second season did a very good job of taking us further into that whole sort of I guess recreation of the game as a TV show, and got into just so many of the very serious moments of the game. And I think what they moved along at a very fast pace now through 2 seasons. Like, the first season covered the whole first game, and the second season went through half of The Last of Us Part 2, which basically does have 2 parts to it, right? There's one from one perspective of the whole set of characters, and then the second part of the game really is another player's or character's perspective, right? And so they're going so fast that I feel like they're going to run out of content after the 3rd season, right? And then what does HBO do? Like, they're going to get into the same situation they got into with Game of Thrones, right, where they raced ahead of where the novels were. But I'm not sure how I feel about that. But it does feel like, for Neil Druckmann here, he's getting pulled in these different directions where, that may, they may now see the end of where they're going to go with The Last of Us, right? And maybe it probably could be a 3rd and final season. But meanwhile, they're spinning up different games there, including Intergalactic, right? And Intergalactic was, unveiled at the Game Awards, and it did not get the kind of reception that people usually have for Naughty Dog games, right? The trailer that they showed had a very different kind of looking main character, who you would think of more as maybe just a side character usually in some other games, right? But this game zeroes in on this very different looking person who the fans just didn't like. And so I think they have a real challenge with that game right off the bat of like, how are we going to, convey to people that this is an interesting character we've created that is going to draw them in and keep them sustained for a giant Naughty Dog game. And so I think Neil has to go back and pay attention, to exactly how this gets crafted for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe part of the reception or early reception of this is kind of a holdover from Starfield, right? So, another big, super ambitious open world space game by, an incredible designer, but just didn't land the way it did. And so, going from Starfield to, what was it called? Interstellar?
Oh,
no, what's the name of the?
Interstellar is the name for the Naughty Dog.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it right?
Intergalactic.
Oh, Intergalactic.
Oh, sorry. What
which
did
I
I say?
should have,
Intergalactic.
which I should have remembered. Another dimension, new galaxy, intergalactic planetary. Of course, the BC Boys. But you kind of went from Starfield to Intergalactic, and you're like, is this going to be a repeat of that? So I wonder if there's a little bit of that.
I mean, we know that also The Last of Us Part 2 had a very public anti-DEI sort of crusade against it, right? And for the most part, it was one of the best-selling games of all time, and so in a lot of ways, Naughty Dog and the developers were able to overcome that kind of resistance, and I believe that the reaction to Intergalactic has a lot of that same element right now, right?
Yeah, which
it's
is
just like, this is not my kind of hero, right? Well, because it's too DEI, right? So I think that's a reaction to be aware of, but I also don't think it should stop developers from going in that direction if that's where they think their story goes. Right?
Of course not. There's stories for everybody, and sometimes those stories aren't for you, right? Sometimes it's a story that, and guess what? There are thousands of other games that speak exactly to what you want. Like not everybody has to love everything. It's the craziest thing when I hear personally, showing me a different perspective, takes away. They don't know what they're doing with the franchise. They wrote it. It's their story. Yes, give them the feedback, but that doesn't necessarily. They can say thank you for that feedback, and we're still going to make the story we want to make. Great, vote with your wallets, right? And then just go off and play. Again, thousands of other amazing games out there. It's silly.
Yeah, and this is original IP that Naughty Dog is dedicated to building, and players say they want more of that, right? And they're going to get it here, and so you receive it with open arms, and you'll get more original IP.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, I know we're coming up to the end of the hour here, and I know we have to talk about what we're playing, but if you're okay with this, I want to make sure that we brought this back up here because, Dean, since we last spoke with you, there was the full rebrand and relaunch of GamesBeat, right? So I wanted to make sure that we at least covered this, that instead of just focusing on video games, right, in those pieces, you now have a whole variety of different pieces here. So maybe you can just walk us through real quickly kind of how this has been structured, how this is different than the GamesBeat that we've, come to know and love, and how you see this going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that we have here is I have always been both a tech writer and a games writer,
Right.
and always been interested in the intersection of tech and games and other kinds of entertainment, science fiction in particular, and how it influences real world technology, and that real world technology shows up in games, and so uh, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to want to create channels that focused on these different aspects that do relate to games, but often are unrelated. So things that NVIDIA does, I like to cover those things, and so we have a technology channel, we have an entertainment channel, games, we have a gaming culture channel that again focuses on things like creators or esports. We have something on gameplay, which is just reviews and previews, and then the business of games, right? And so it's not a lot different than what I've always done, I think. But now we've figured out the channels for it, and as we expand over time, we would love to have people writing to cover all of these specific sections. So it's an expression of both the reality of what we cover, but also what we want to do more of in the future.
Yeah. It looks great, man. It looks really fantastic. I don't know how you're going.
We have some other news coming next week too, by the way. So
Oh, all right. Well, it's
yeah.
all right. So we'll make sure that we hit that next week. Very good. And again, yeah, really amazing, Dean. Just wonderful to
Thanks.
see.
It's very interesting to transfer 49,000 stories that we had done over 17 years from VentureBeat's domain over to the new GamesBeat.com domain, and that by itself is not a small feat. And
Yeah.
we had a company help us called Click, but yeah, it results in interesting things you have to do. Like VentureBeat is redirecting all of those old URLs to the new URLs that we had to create.
Yeah.
So
No, I understand. I used to run when I was at VeriSign, a brief, step out of the industry direct for about 18 months. We were publishing, I think, something like 16,000 web page updates every day, right? And translate into multiple languages and all this other stuff. It was daunting task, right? So, yeah, definitely.
and
feel
then
that stuff.
yeah, that, there is a challenge in like having Google go back and sort of re-recognize that it had indexed these stories before,
Yeah.
and it has to now go back and index them again. So in a beginning stage, not all of those 49,000 stories were searchable still. And so now eventually as they get indexed, they become searchable.
Yeah. Internet
so-
Archive too. Make sure you're having that updated too, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, that's awesome. Mihai over here in the chat also said, that's a great website. Do you have an app that I could download? I'd love to get notifications and read it with my morning coffee. So if people just sign up to the site, is there a notification or that type of function on the site yet?
Yeah, I mean, we just have a mobile version of the site that you get through on a browser, but we don't have an app for GameSpeed.
Right.
We do have the app for our events, which we use regularly and people can communicate on. But yeah, I think over time, it makes sense for us to double down on the community and ways for people to connect to each other, and maybe comment on things that we've written more easily. And so we're taking that into account as to what we want to do for the future. Like doing a Discord like experience, I think would be fun for us to do. I
Yeah,
think
because
get
you have so much
closer
time
to
to
people.
monitor all the Discord chatter too, Dean.
Isn't that what mods are for?
Yes, we have
Yeah.
somebody listening that can help figure that out. Amir Sadfat, we should tap into that big brain of his about how to do that. How about you, Mark? Any other big news items or anything popping on the back
I got
of your
stuff
brain?
on my brain, but I'll have to back burner it to next week because I've got to bounce to another call. But yeah, there's always stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, since you're
I
gonna have to
started playing
bounce.
Death Stranding too, by the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll have to get into that next week because I went back and I've been playing Death Stranding 1 to try to fast track my way through there. But I did want to share one piece of news, not what I'm playing, but what I was doing. So I'm wearing this awesome Genesis-inspired shirt that says "Continues," and this is a arcade bar and restaurant that's actually opening in Alexandria, Virginia, here pretty shortly. Friend of ours, Alan Brooks, who used to work over at the Kennedy Center, and I got connected to through Mark years ago. He's opened this, and one of the things that I spent some time doing, this is their website, which is pretty great, is they have inside of the arcade, there is a hidden speakeasy behind a Polybius machine. And this is what the speakeasy looks like in here. And so I spent time with Amber, who is helping she is basically running the bar and doing all of that stuff to take this massive collection of content and then help them organize it so we can actually tell like the history of the industry and what they're seeing as we go forward, right? And so this is just the first step in organizing, getting assets out there so we're able to actually hold these events where we walk people through the industry, the history of the games industry and fun facts and all these other things. So it's really an incredible endeavor that they've undertaken. And the cool thing is, one of the things that they're doing today, I know Mark had to bop off there, is they're meeting with kind of underserved communities to walk them through kind of, video games and why they're important and how you can, focus on this in school and learn how to develop and do all of these things. And so Alan and the team over there continues. They're just incredible people that are going to be doing really awesome work in the community. So just really fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I know Mark had to run there. So I know we're up here at the end. So you said you've been playing Death Stranding 2?
Yeah. It's just at the beginning stage. A lot of reviews have already come out on it. But yeah, a very, very familiar start to it. And got through one of the missions so far. And it's
that engine,
very high quality game for sure.
The engine they built's incredible, and it's Hideo Kojima, right? So that's what you'd expect. But I wanted to make sure I went back through and finished Death Stranding 1, although I probably didn't need to. But I hear all the quality of life improvements.
Do you look forward to that, say, 4-hour cutscene?
Look, if you're picking up one of his games, you know what you're in for. So, right? I mean, you have nobody to blame but yourself if that's what you're doing. And then I've been going back and buying a bunch of older games that I'd missed on like Steam and stuff like that during the Steam summer sale. And then, of course, on the Switch 2, like West of Loathing. I picked up Battlefront 2 for like $4 on Steam. Right, like I've got it on the consoles, but for $4, yes, I'll do the PC version of that. So I'm going back and just playing a whole bunch of old games. But anyway, look, I know we're here at the end of the hour. Dean, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And again, congratulations to the new site. Now we're past the congratulatory space. We're going to now be critical eye on everything. No, it's amazing. Right. And looking forward to doing more with you all. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thanks, everybody, for spending time with us this afternoon. And make sure you tell your friends about Boss Rush every Friday, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. And have a great rest of your day and an awesome weekend. We'll see you next week. Thank everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Chris.
See you, buddy.